Ah, shinies. A system whose origin exists within the second generation of Pokemon. Over the years, the idea of having rare alternate colored monsters for the player to catch has done nothing but gain momentum and popularity. Though different with each iteration, various monster taming games have adopted this system and put their own unique twist on it. Monster Sanctuary is no exception to this. The game features a shifting system, which doubles down as a shiny mechanic and almost an evolution mechanic as well. Throughout this video, we will explore Monster Sanctuary's shifting system, how it differs from the traditional shiny systems we typically see, and the various benefits to getting your hands on some shifted monsters. Think of this as your all-in-one overview of the shifting system. Okay, so in order to avoid major plot spoilers, a particular incident takes place within the game involving the alchemist that enables Monster Sanctuary's shifting system. Whereas in Pokemon, you have a very low chance to find a shiny, and shinies are always shiny, and non-shinies are always not shiny, Monster Sanctuary is quite different. So first of all, there are two types of shifts. There's dark and light. Each one comes with its own unique color palette and various attributes to coincide with this specific shift. We will get into these in a bit, but dark shifts generally lean towards more offensive and debuff-oriented playstyles, whilst light shifts focus on defensive and buffing playstyles. A non-shifted monster can become a shifted monster by giving it a shift stone, and shifts are a direct upgrade to the monster affected. Also of note is that there's another item called a switch stone, which allows you to change a light shifted monster to a dark shifted monster and vice versa. During my interview with the developers, it was stated that shifting is like an evolution mechanic and a shiny mechanic in one, and acts unlike the game's actual evolution mechanic, where monsters become very different rather than necessarily being a direct upgrade. Now, with that being said, shifted monsters can also be encountered in the wild, and subsequently you have a chance to obtain that specific shifted monster's egg based on your battle performance. Unlike other games where shinies are extremely rare, Monster Sanctuary actually provides a 1 in 4 chance of encountering a shifted monster every cluster. Remember, shifting is a streamlined mechanic tied to getting the maximum potential out of your monsters, so making them super rare would end up severely hindering the player. Honestly speaking, the amount of differences between Monster Sanctuary's color variants and Pokemon's shiny system are countless, and the shifting mechanic, as stated by the devs, takes more inspiration from color variant systems in other RPGs, or you can even think of games like the original Zelda, where you'd have an alternate colored enemy that's stronger than the original enemy. That was a very basic overview of the system, but to truly understand its significance, I think it's best we go over some of the different benefits to having a shifted monster. So the different shifts will grant different passive abilities based off of the monster that possesses the specific shift. Passives are basically being unique effects that take place during the course of a battle while said monster is in play. Think about something like Lightning Rod from Pokemon. Its passive ability is that it redirects all electric type attacks to the holder of said ability. Passive abilities like this have a continuous effect on the battlefield whilst said monster is active. They're of course separated into two categories, one being light and the second being dark. We're going to touch on a few of them here so you guys can get sort of an idea of what kind of shenanigans you could pull provided you have the right setup. Now, just before we move forward, I do want to state this is not a competitive meta guide, but it will help newcomers understand the importance of shifting as it pertains to the game. So let's start things off with some light abilities. The first one I got here is Buff Master, which is an ability that allows for an additional buff stack on the user's team. This basically means that if you have, let's say, the Might buff, which increases your attack damage, you can actually stack on top of Might, which will add extra damage. You can use this to stack defensive buffs, critical hit chance buffs, etc. It's a general rule that additional stacks of both debuffs and buffs are about half as effective as the original, so just keep that in mind. But either way, you can use something like Salahammer and its various buffing moves like Glory Cast and Team Play to really get some momentum going and give yourself some power you wouldn't otherwise be able to have. If you're looking for something that's a little more simple, there's passives like Eternal Heart, which increase your health and mana by 12%, Light Instinct, which decreases incoming damage by 15%, and Curse Resistance, which decreases the effects of debuffs by 50%. Another really interesting attribute is the Equipment Mastery passive, which allows the monster in question to equip an additional accessory. So instead of having 3 different add-ons, you get 4. This is yet another example of how light-shifted monsters typically tend to invigorate one's own monsters rather than cause a specific effect on the foe. Now, dark shifted effects, on the other hand, primarily focus on crippling the foe, whether it be extra damage output, stacking debuffs, or other benefits to the user that could come at the expense of the enemy. This obviously isn't the case for every single dark affinity, however it is the majority. For a direct assault against your foe, you have passives like Dark Instinct, which increases the damage your foes take by 15%, Debuff Mastery, which allows you to stack debuffs against your foe, which by the way is the dark counterpart to the Buff Mastery we discussed earlier, Shadow Proc, which causes the attack to trigger additional hits, or even Critical Apex, which causes all of your attacks to have higher critical hit rates the more they're used in battle. They also have some other interesting abilities such as Dual Wield, which allows the player to hold 2 weapons, although the second weapon is at a reduced effect, otherwise this ability would be absolutely broken. Relentless, which reduces the cost of mana on all abilities by 25%, and Bleed Out, which makes it so that bleed stacks will stick even after bleed damage is doled out. There are a lot of unique abilities for each type of shift, and you can find them all in the Monster Sanctuary wiki, which is an absolutely amazing resource for making these types of videos. Let me know what you guys think about the shifting system and subsequently the different types of passives that exist as a result. I'm curious to know what kind of crazy builds utilizing some of these passives to their greatest extent you guys have come up with, so definitely let me know. But anyways, with all that being said, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at GymLeaderEd. You can check out my Patreon and Discord as well, all links in the description. Until next time, peace.